Thank you for tuning into Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno, coming to you from beautiful downtown Fresno and CMAX Studios. Thank you for joining Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno. Michael Rhodes is here today, and let's go ahead and run that film that the Central Valley PAC put together.
We're coming for Devin Nunes. We're coming for Donald Trump. It starts here.
If they forgot about us, the community has not.
The mayoral election is really important to me because in our current political climate, with the media consumption that we're privy to and just the bombardment of things that are constantly happening, it's easy to become desensitized to it or to feel as if it's like this impenetrable, corrupt system that we can't make a change in. Local elections are the most accessible form of government. We can't look at it as small or insignificant any longer.
I think it is important for us, if we want to see change in our community and change around us, it starts with voting. If they forgot about us, the community has not. And so we need to get out there and vote. This coming up election is very important to me because I don't want the wrong face again representing Fresno.
Having somebody like Jerry Dyer become mayor is super scary to me. I think that he has a history of going unchecked in this community, and that's not something that we can tolerate any longer.
What I want to see in a mayor is that is going to be listening to us and that is going to consider and take action. And so I think Andrew Jans has already done that. And he has came out there and listened to the community of some of the concerns that he didn't know. We have yet to see that from somebody else.
We're now in 2020. Apathy is not cool anymore. You can't just be uneducated for the sake of it or because you have the privilege to not educate yourself. I think it's important to see what's happening in our community and the changes that we can make if we realize that as a community we can stand together. I think that if we start with something like the mayoral election and we prove that our voices can be heard, we can take down anybody. We're coming for Devin Nunes. We're coming for Donald Trump, you know? So it starts here, and that sense of hope starts here in our community in Fresno.
Can you give us a little debrief on that video everybody was watching just now?
Right, that's a video that the Central Valley Progressive PAC put together in a campaign to help get Jans elected as mayor of Fresno, to inform people about Jerry Dyer, and to talk about the new voting process that's rolling out in the coming elections. We did something a little different this time. Basically, what the PAC does is try to get progressive folks elected to local office. So we have identified the mayor's race as the most important political race in this election cycle.
Now, let me ask you a question. You've been involved with this PAC for how many years now?
I helped found it. It's been over 10 years.
Over 10 years ago. But you're a native to Fresno, California.
I was born here.
You were born here, right?
Yes.
Rhodes, is that the same Rhodes department store?
Well, you know, ultimately we all go back to Africa, so we're all related somehow.
Okay.
But
no, the
not
only
directly.
reason, but you know what I'm saying? That's that department store.
Not a
I
recent
love that
connection.
place. That was a great place to shop.
Oh, there's the Rhodes Scholar too.
Oh, that one too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the reason I'm asking this question is that I was gone 32 years, starting in 1981, and Jerry Dyer was apparently started working for Fresno PD around 1982, 3, 4, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I
Okay,
can't recall
so
the exact date.
anyway, I don't know the man personally, but he does say that he's always been with the wife that he's been with, married for X number of years. I don't know if it's 40 years now. and this thing keeps cropping up about having sexual relations with a minor. And if that's true, that had to happen during the time that he was going out with her.
Well,
I mean,
he was married in the In that period of time, he was in his mid-20s, and, you know, he was wild. I mean, he, you know, was a bodybuilder. There's a lot of allegations about him taking drugs, steroids, cocaine, that sort of thing. You know, that was the time when he was having this relationship with the 16-year-old girl. The Fresno Bee did an article about that right about the time he became chief of police, and kind of delved into that. He didn't deny it then, and he doesn't deny it now. He simply says that he's been forgiven.
Okay.
The department has completely looked into this. His wife has forgiven him, which suggests that there was something to forgive, right?
Right.
And that the God has forgiven him.
Are there statutes of
Okay.
limitations for things like
There,
this?
I think there are.
Okay, so that's probably why he can just say, God forgives me, and let's move forward. I mean,
Right, but people knew about that at the time.
but there also, it was a different culture. I mean, it doesn't make it right, but look at the stuff that, for example, Bill Cosby did. People, he got away, people get away with it. Now they're finally reaping what they've sowed, right? And so now, stuff that maybe Jerry Dyer did in the past, or people, I mean, people used to drive drunk, it used to be a slap on the wrist. Now it's $10,000.
Oh, it's a felony.
If you go back a ways in Fresno history, which we did, I also write for the Community Alliance newspaper. You'll find this story about Jerry Dyer on the front page of the January issue. In the February issue, what you're going to find is a deep dive into the corruption of the Fresno Police Department going back a century.
Well, that's one of the interviews we'll do in another time, but this time we need to stick with, because we need to talk about that. I was
Okay.
married to a PD brat. Okay,
I
so
would
we'll
be
talk
happy.
about.
I'd be happy to come back and discuss
Yes,
that
let's talk
at
about
the right
that.
time.
But right now, let's talk about
Okay.
why focus on Dyer.
Okay.
Everyone's saying no, but then he says yes. And what I don't get is that if everyone is, and I'm not sure who everyone is people are not happy with the routine people that are running for office, and they feel that they're not doing a justifiable job, then why rehire them? It's just like having an employee that steals out of your till, and then you let them go for that, and then you rehire them. You know, and you're just going to end up with the same kind of something.
So Jerry Dyer was chief of police when Keith Foster was second in command. Keith Foster was like being groomed to become the next police chief. He was a good friend of Jerry Dyer's. He was arrested for selling heroin in this community. Arrested, tried, and convicted. He now sits in federal prison, I think in Colorado. Now, either Jerry Dyer is so incompetent that this is going on right in his department. You know, the person who's next in command, his friend, either he's so incompetent that he didn't see that happening, or he's corrupt for being a part of that. Either way, it's not good.
Right.
And so what we're saying is that a person's behavior is the best indicator of what they're going to do in the future. So if this is what he was doing just a couple of years ago, the FBI and the ATF had to come in and investigate this because the Fresno Police Department was incompetent to do that. There's something wrong there in his management style if he's allowing his good friend and second in command to be selling heroin to our kids.
Right.
Right, but at the same time, I mean, that's an argument, but people have their own autonomy to focus on that. I mean, it doesn't focus on the man. I mean, I have children. I've raised my children. If they hide something from me, like most children would to their parents, my son would never do that. But they do. I mean,
Okay, here's another thing. So Jerry Dyer was in a lawsuit. A couple of captains, Schaefer and Navarez, accused him of racial and sexist behavior that was inappropriate.
Did he get a lawsuit?
Yeah, there was a lawsuit. There is a lawsuit. We have a copy of it.
There's a new one filed too.
Yeah, that just came out the other day. But in this one, they had allegations like, and Dyer, I think, they eventually paid these people off to get rid of the lawsuit. But for example, he had a ringtone on his phone
Right, I heard
for
about this.
Cynthia Sterling, who's an African American city council member. That was Mammy's Little Baby Loves Shortening.
That's so stupid. Why would you do that?
Because you think you can get away with
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
And he's
Immature.
the chief of police. He had Asian American woman in his department he referred to as his little geisha girl.
So that's all inappropriate and that's stupid. But people make mistakes, and that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good mayor, right?
Hey, the next time I rob a bank and they arrest me, I'll just say, hey, that was in the past. And it's not a reflection of me in the present, which is what he's trying to do. He's trying to say that these things don't matter because God's forgiven him. He's born again. And so whatever he did in the past, whatever nefarious things he did in the past, and there are many, it doesn't matter because he's been born again.
So let's go for the real things from what I can hear or what I've seen so far. Now we have lawsuits adding up to more than $12 million plus. Is that correct? Past lawsuits.
So you're talking about the...
For Jerry Dyer, what we know for sure to be real is that he had some confirmed lawsuits that our community paid out.
Oh, there's been a lot of lawsuits
Was it-
for, civil rights violations,
Okay.
for sexual abuse. These are all charges against police officers during his time as chief of police.
And now there's one now pending for discrimination,
Right.
being passed over. And then now these people that had these ringtones or whatever was going on, did they file some kind of employment? They can complain to the labor board.
Well, there was a lawsuit, and it was settled for about $300,000.
Okay.
That's just the money they paid out to these people, but there was
Okay.
also legal expenses,
Right.
which we all paid for.
Right.
And I think the document you're referring to showed that there was $23 million
Right.
in payouts to people who have accused the Fresno Police Department of abuse. So we're paying the police to pay off these people to abuse them.
Okay.
And I
Right.
find that
That's really
appalling.
weird. That's kind of like throwing money,
And you think that'd be different with the Jans administration?
Yeah, Jans is a totally different sort of person. I mean, if you look into Jans's records, okay, so here's an example, concrete example of how Jans would be different. So Jerry Dyer, in dealing with the homeless issue, he got money in for a homeless task force on the police department. So they go out and they harass the homeless, tell them to move on, call the city sanitation to come in and take their possessions if they're gone. Say if they've gone into the Poverello house to get a meal and they've left their backpack at the gate because they can't take it in, this group, this homeless task force, will take their property and destroy it. How's that helping the homeless? It's really not.
well,
obviously.
they shouldn't be doing that anymore. The
It's
Supreme
against the
Court
law.
says that it's against the
We
law.
had a class action lawsuit in 2007. There was a $2.3 million settlement in favor of the homeless people. Now, Andrew Jans, what's he going to do about the homeless issue that would be different than what Jerry Dyer would? He wouldn't give them more money to the police to solve this problem because that's never going to solve the problem.
No.
What he's going to do is try to provide more social services, housing, and a place where they can go that is safe and legal. It's an elegant solution to a vexing problem. Nobody at City Hall has been able to figure this out, but if you are able to provide homeless people with housing and social services You will
Basics.
spend less money than if you just leave them on the street to rot.
Just those $23 million plus whatever's going to happen now with this
That's
discrimination.
There's an idea.
Plus that the $8 million they've been getting every year since '08. The housing and the homeless problem should have been resolved a long time ago.
Right, so-
and they should, like San Jose's got $1 lease from Caltrans, and they're putting tiny homes. Why should they be moved around? If they're going to be homeless and they're going to need someplace to live, get them someplace permanent so we can start to be settled down. So we have a few minutes left, and we need to go ahead. Let's pitch the audience. Let them know for sure. Why is it that you feel, or the PAC feels, that Jerry Dyer shouldn't continue on in any type of, let him retire, be done with it? I heard something about getting double dipping on his retirement as well?
Yeah, he's done that for years.
Why is that? How did that come about?
How'd that come about? Because, well, if you don't know already, there's a Good Old Boy network in Fresno. We've done a power structure analysis on that institution. They look out for each other. Jerry Dyer will, he was lobbying against more parks. He was in support of privatizing city sanitation workers. So he wants to privatize jobs. He doesn't want more parks. He wants more money for his police department, which he would like to militarize and use that as a way to keep people in their place.
Okay, so what you're saying is what I'm hearing is Gestapo. We have a little Gestapo here.
If you like,
I mean, that's
if you like Trump, you'll love Jerry Dyer. If you don't like locking little children up in cages, don't vote for Trump and don't vote for Dyer.
But won't Dyer make us feel safer?
Not me. I mean, I'm afraid he's going to come and get me. We've been doing research on this, and people are scared that there's going to be retaliation against us for even standing up against him as much as we have.
Sure.
Just like showing this video, there could be blowback from that, and that does not make me feel safer.
Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. This is America. Nobody should be harmed for having an opinion and speaking their mind. I'm sorry I used the word Gestapo. Excuse me. I'm just a regular person, okay? I'm just apologizing because I don't know what other title, but what I'm hearing is that you have some, and we already have military armor in Clovis, and it could be borrowed by PD. So it's already in place.
Look, they've got like tanks with
They
the
have
Fresno
tanks.
Police Department.
Right.
They have infrared technology where they could see
That's right.
into your home,
That's right.
see what you're doing in any room.
Once again, doesn't that make you feel safer?
Oh, yeah. It just warms the cockles of my heart.
That's the thing. The fallacy here, I think, is that you have a whole lot of people that for some reason they feel like when the police gets these little toys, it's going to make them safer. They don't realize that when the police
It's an invasion.
want to, they'll use it against
That's
them.
right.
Right, so our strategy is to reach out to the south of Fresno rather than the north of Fresno, because if you go way up on the bluffs, those people are going to vote for Dyer. I think if we have a level playing field and people come out and vote in the south, we're going to win.
So the main thing is that we need to encourage every young voters, people in the west, southwest, southeast, get out and vote.
Thank you for tuning in to Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno, coming to you from beautiful downtown Fresno and CMAX Studios.